Not all the rookies have played, but of the guys who have, how have you guys felt about them? I know Rob Dillingham, Ron Holland both played this weekend, and there were some other guys too. And there's more tonight who I'm also excited to see. I think Rob Dillingham had like 20 his first game.
21 on 20 shots, which that's a lot. I mean, it's preseason, so you like that a young guy's getting up shots like that. But if he can become that volume scorer like we saw at times at Kentucky alongside Anthony Edwards in the backcourt, I mean, that looks like major damage coming in the Western Conference.
Yeah, from the first game, watching Rob, one thing stood out to me, he's going to be him. No matter what, he's going to be him. Like, they talked about a lot during Summer League how the coaches kind of wanted him to pass first more. Like, they wanted him to get his teammates involved and find his within the flow of the offense. You could tell he, like, tried it at the beginning of the game, but, like, as it went on and he kind of seen, like, the rest of the bench players weren't really that into it, he was like, all right, time for me to put the ball in the basket. So, 20 shots was like, all right, 20 shots to get 20 isn't that great, but overall, I like the aggressiveness. Just out of someone who, like, that's what you draft him for at the end of the day. Like,
yeah,
you want him to be himself. So I think what he did in that first game, while he definitely got a shot block a couple times, one by Bronny on the baseline. I think he missed a point blank layup trying to go right hand on left side.
There was one I thought he was about to yam it, and then he tried to switch too late. But
like, it's definitely like some wildness to his game that the coaches probably still want to like rein in a little bit. But I was impressed for, like, normally rookie guards look terrible, so I was kind of impressed.
That's funny you bring that up, though, because I was actually watching, I saw like a small interview from Ant, and he was talking about the connection he's already built with Rob, and he said basically, Rob's not going to pass the ball, but you can't tell him anything because he's efficient with it, which I thought was kind of funny. But, I mean, at the end of the day, that's what they brought him there to do. That's why they traded up for him, and they're seriously expecting him to have a big role. Like, they're not drafting him just to sit on the bench. Like, they want him to come and contribute right away. And obviously it's preseason, but that first game, it looks like he can do it. I mean, obviously he's a skinnier guy, so it's natural to think, oh my gosh, like, he's smaller, he might struggle, but I don't think it was that much of an issue. So he's ready to go.
He looked tiny out there, though. I will say that. He looked so small. But just like the craftiness and the speed is the one big thing. I was looking to see if it transferred, and it definitely looked like it did. He was kind of just running everywhere, 90 miles per hour.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the two biggest additions in terms of the draft this year for Minnesota looked really good. I mean, Rob with 20 points on 20 shots in 20 minutes is like, that's insane. But even like Terrence Shannon, 14 points in 27 minutes, that's another guy that obviously with more experience coming out of the draft, but definitely had a high ceiling as well. So if they hit on both those picks, and Minnesota already being one of the better teams in the Western Conference, that might raise their ceiling a lot quicker than I think people are expecting.
Mm-hmm. And Terrence Shannon is a guy who, obviously he had that off-the-court stuff last year, but he was a guy who I genuinely thought could go in the first round. Wait, when did he go?
He went in the first round.
At
the very end.
27, so like barely.
But I'm just worried because I feel like they already have so many other wings, and they've drafted a lot of other younger guys. And Terrence Shannon is a guy who, especially just watching it, I think even Dillingham had an assist to Terrence Shannon. He just punched it. I was like, ooh. But he's a guy who I really want to see find his way in the league, just because, one, I think he's a fun player to watch, and obviously he's a little bit older, but I still think he has the tools to do damage.
Yeah. Last note on that, 20 shots in 20 minutes is elite shot jacking. Like, that is really getting them up.
You know what I love too? I feel like we saw Rob kind of go back to his high school ways where, you know how when he shoots and he doesn't always have his feet set? I feel like you kind of saw that at Kentucky, but it wasn't as extreme. I feel like there were more plays where he was like twisting his body, and, that's the kind of stuff I love, because it's like, obviously they talk about all the fundamentals, and then these pros come and they can just do whatever they want.
I think especially at his size, like, at Kentucky is different because when you're in college, like, you're playing on another team, there might be a couple pros. Like, there's a few guys that are going to the league, but like in the NBA, all these guys are pros. All these guys are most likely pretty solid in college. They're all really big, and he's just not that size. Like, he's very small. So I think you'll see a lot more of that high school, like, game that you talk about where he's like landing off balance, having to do different weird things to contort himself around defenders because
definitely because he's gonna have
windows
to
are so small.
work a little more to create. I'm not saying that it's gonna be hard for him, but it's the NBA. There's bigger defenders, so
Yeah, something else like that I'm excited to see about specifically the Minnesota rookies is this team is so deep because after that trade for giving up Karl Anthony Towns, you bring in DiVincenzo, you bring in Julius Randle. So obviously Minnesota is going to be in the postseason. So a guy like Rob Dillingham, a guy like Terrence Shannon, they're going to see early, pressure-filled minutes in the postseason where Rob might have to go out there and who knows, by that point in the season, he might be the starting point guard going up against a Luka Doncic when it all matters. So I feel like that early postseason experience is going to just do numbers for their development early in their career. So should be fun to see him the entire year.
Mm-hmm.